and welcome to We Live in a Society. Today I'll be talking about the cultural differences between France and Australia from the perspective of an Australian who's lived in France now for just over 2 years. So one of the biggest cultural differences is food, and France boasts like a rich gastronomic tradition and is internationally recognised for food being a way of life. But since I arrived, I've really struggled with food. I miss food so much, and I pretty much eat now just to stay alive than for the pleasure of it. And I think my reaction to first trying snails kind of sums up my food experience here in France, and I will insert that clip in here now.
Confirm. You can do it. Just eat it. You got this.
It's an acquired taste. It's really chewy. I really don't know how to describe the flavour.
Describe it. Is it garlicky?
Yes, it's garlicky and cheesy and parsley. Tastes a little like dirt. A bit of dirt flavour.
How common is the dirt flavour? Like a 1 out of 10.
Quite good.
Get it down, you got this.
So when I first arrived in France, I was looking really forward to trying all the new foods and the local dishes of all the little towns, you know, just like I do when I visit any other country. But I've just been really disappointed since arriving in France. I think there's a bit of a difference being a tourist and just travelling around a country for a month or two and, you know, experiencing their local foods compared to living here long term and not just being able to get the variety and the freshness of foods that you're used to. It is a real struggle. So one thing I really love here is the baguettes. They're quite delicious. You see I've already eaten most of this one. There's some remnant in the packet. Yeah, the baguettes are really good. They're crunchy, delicious, baguette goodness. They're really, really delicious, and I really love the bread here. One thing is though, they don't use preservatives in the bread. So you have to pretty much eat it on the day you buy it. If you leave it overnight, and actually one of the cultural things they do here is they'll have bread with their dinner, and then they'll have like a bread box and they'll put their remnant baguettes in there, and they'll just go, in the morning it's just hard as shit, like it's a rock, you can't eat it. But what they do is for breakfast here, they have baguette dipped in coffee or a hot chocolate, and so they'll sit there with their bowl of coffee, and yes, bowl of coffee. Here they don't drink coffee from a cup, and I was quite surprised the first time, only for breakfast though. All other times they drink out of a cup, but for breakfast, coffee or hot chocolate must be consumed in bowl form, and they dip their baguette in there and they eat it, and then they drink their bowl of coffee. Bizarre tradition. But yeah, baguette's awesome, and I felt as if my transition to becoming like French was complete when I walk home or cycle home with a baguette in the basket of my bike, or with a baguette tucked under my arm walking home. And generally it's tradition that you break the top of the baguette off and you eat it before you get home. This is done all the time. You see people walking around with the tops of their baguettes missing, and it's actually on the subway. And my partner Josh, a little boy, just, he was 6, so I think old enough to know better, just came up to Josh, broke the end of his baguette off and started eating it. And the parents are just, laughing and muttering in French, and yeah, this was before the whole COVID apocalypse, it's last year. But yeah, it's just bizarre. So one other kind of food I really love here in France are the baked goods. So I don't really tend to eat cakes or biscuits or anything like that. And prior to coming to France, I actually had an intolerance for egg. I wouldn't go into anaphylaxis or anything, but it just gave me digestive distress for up to 8 hours after the consumption of an egg. It must have been the hormones or the antibiotics or something that they give the chickens, because here in France, I haven't had that problem. And I lived here for 2 years before trying any of the bakery goods, because I was, they obviously had egg in them. It was only when I accidentally had something with egg in it and realized I didn't react, and then I actually ate an egg, an omelette, and I was completely fine. So now I've been able to try all the delicious bakery goods and they're amazing. I'm just going to get this box now and just show you some of the delicacies that are on offer here in France. Everything's melting together. It's quite hot here. This is a Snickers tartlet, as you can see, and it is the most delicious thing. Inside is just full of gooey caramel peanut goodness, and it's like fancy. It's very fancy. This is like a thong. It's white chocolate, and then it's got like a custard layer and a fruit layer and a biscuit layer, and just look at the amount of detail that goes into that, and it is absolutely delicious. Of course, French is well known for its eclairs. This is a Nutella eclair. Again, absolutely delicious. So this may have been a poor choice. Everything's melting and falling apart, but look at this. I don't even know what this is, but it's some chocolate biscuit crumbly goodness, and they're just so pretty, and so much detail goes into the bakery items. They're so good. I can see this falling down everywhere, but this is like a little cheesecake fruit concoction. Delicious. So another thing I was really looking forward to trying when I came to France was cheese. I love cheese. And I was looking forward to coming here and just sitting on the couch in my underwear eating a giant block of cheese. And yes, I equate eating a giant block of cheese in my underwear to some sort of French paradise, but I was really looking forward to this. Unfortunately, I thought I liked cheese, but the cheeses here are just, they're so strong. And a lot of the time, yeah, the smell, I can't abide the smell. But they have all different kinds of cheese. They have like all the soft cheeses, like your brie and your camembert, which I really love. And then all different kinds of hard cheese with like, one I particularly like, and I have no idea what it's called, but it's got like an ash coat, and it's so good. Also of note that the pasteurization process was actually invented in France by a Frenchman, Louis Pasteur, in 1865. And so here in France, the French eat cheese like they would an apple. They just take this giant hunk of brie and just eat it like it's an apple. Like, I have to at least severely dilute it on like crackers. And crackers aren't really a thing here in France. You can't really get crackers, so you have usually cheese on bread. So I have to like just have the thinnest layer of like cheese on my bread, but here they just sit there and eat it like an apple. Like giant hunks of it. And yeah, there's no way I could do that here. And so another thing I've learnt when coming to France is that each course of a meal has to be consumed in a particular order. You must respect the order, as they say here, or otherwise they get really uncomfortable and really horrified. And so, you know, when I go for lunch here, so lunch just, you know, in Australia you might grab a sandwich and a drink. Not in France. It's a 5-course, 2-hour affair. Every day. Every day. I cannot eat that amount of food, and even when I ask for smaller portions. And so normally, you know, you have your cheese and your bread, and then you'll have your entree and your main, and then you'll have a dessert, and then you usually have some fruit. And so I would just eat the cheese and the bread first, because that's my favourite thing. I would eat that first, and then, you know, eat a bit of my main, but then go to the dessert and the fruits, and then go back to the main meal. But just the look of horror on like my co-worker's face. I've stopped doing it, and I've had to respect the order, because they can't cope with eating things in a different order. It's just, yeah, I don't understand it.